How are you wanting to start this?
You start, you do your usual stuff, and then I'll just go like, hey, I'm Charlie.
Yeah.
I live here now.
No you don't.
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
I finally got off my backside and we made this series.
Yay! Hello guys, and welcome to Ballaam and Willis with
Me, this person who kind of lazed about the last year and a bit.
Okay. So, before we get into the things, tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Charlie, if you haven't gathered from the little TARDIS thing which kind of floated around right here. I am a person, I am a male, so I am older than him, no matter what he says.
11 days.
Exactly, that's a whole 11 days of me being older than him. And that is all that is interesting about me at this current point in time.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, we decided this one was going to be about our thoughts of Series 8 so far. So, what were your expectations of Series 8 before, obviously, Deep Breath aired?
Well, I wasn't particularly fond of Matt Smith's final episode, The Time of the Doctor.
No.
So, my opinion on it to begin with was kind of a bit yeah.
Yeah.
Then filming pictures came out, and it didn't look particularly great, especially the image of the Doctor crawling out of a smaller TARDIS. Then of course there were the script leaks. I managed to get my hands on those. I didn't read all of them. And when the trailer came out during the World Cup, I was kind of like, yeah, it looks alright.
Yeah.
It looks great. And then here we are. How about you?
Well, obviously it's a new Doctor, and Matt Smith, I felt like was trying to emulate David Tennant too much. We've obviously had Matt Smith and David Tennant, who have been the boyfriend Doctors in effect, and from what I heard that Peter Capaldi was going to be a more serious, dark Doctor, I thought, yeah, this is change, this is the better change that we want. Obviously you had the various trailers and such, and I'm wooed away by trailers, so I was looking forward, especially after the the Dalek one where he says, I see beauty, divinity, hatred. I thought, yeah, maybe Stephen Moffat has finally got it right. And here we are today. So then obviously Deep Breath came out 3 weeks ago. So that one I felt like it was like such a weak start as well. Like he was just too Matt Smithy.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's what comes with regeneration. You have a slow transition.
Not really though, because Matt Smith, when he first came about, he was kind of straight like that. He was straight into his madcap. As soon as he climbed up the tower, it's like, oh, we got any apples, and then you know who he is.
Yeah.
Then, yes, he was asleep for a bit, but he kept waking up from time to time. We got to know him slowly.
Yeah.
Through every appearance he had through the episode. Capaldi was just Matt Smith for 90% of the episode.
Yeah.
Going, oh, I speak dinosaur, I speak horse. I couldn't get Capaldi in that first episode.
There was somebody who said to me that, because obviously it has Clara needing the 11th Doctor to say, look, the next one's going to be great, he's going to be fine, which I was very annoyed with that message with time too much.
I thought it was alright, to be honest. I mean, you got that slight hint in the Time of the Doctor, the phone off the hook.
Yeah.
So it was kind of nice that the 11th Doctor came back to Clara just to say, oh, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. Yeah, it was kind of too much pandering towards the audience who went over to him. I mean, yes, I did like Matt Smith's scene in the episode, but it was a separate episode in itself, really. It was more kind of like a prequel after the episode. Also, the sound effects in that episode.
And the CGI.
The CGI was, the dinosaur looked good. The balloon, that looked abysmal, the floating building.
Yeah.
And then kind of the pan up to seeing the half-faced man dead.
Yeah.
I laughed at that. It was just
a bit morbid, Charlie.
Well, I've seen worse ways of being chilled by a giant spire. Have you seen Hot Fuzz?
Unfortunately.
I think the sound effects, they were farmed. It's just Looney Tunes. And then Clara all of a sudden has a personality.
Yes.
I mean, yes, we like a personality, but don't just go, ooh, she's a person. She's not just a storyline now.
Or a plot device.
Or a plot, well, she's still a plot device, but...
I'm now starting to hate the Paternoster Gang in general.
Abstracts. There was one moment in that episode with the Paternoster Gang.
Yeah.
And it was a very short moment, and you don't really notice it, rewatch or whatever, but kind of struck in the scene when they're all about to die.
Yeah.
And Strax puts the gun against his head.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to. He'd rather sacrifice himself to save his friend than for them all to die.
Yeah.
And that was good. It was subtly done because it was only about a few seconds long.
Yeah.
But it worked. It showed kind of a bit of character growth amongst the constant comedy.
Yeah.
And apparently they're coming back for the Christmas special. From what I've heard about the episode, it's going to be terrible. If Stephen Moffat's writing again...
Which he will be, because he's the head writer and...
When he writes it again. Because I did like Capaldi's performance. And I do kind of like that he was a bit dark. I like a dark Doctor. I mean, Chris Ruggles was my favourite. And a Dalek is probably my favourite episode of the new series.
Well, yeah.
Obviously
not mine.
Yeah, well, we know what yours is. Do you? I'm not sure. Have you told them?
I'll put something on screen.
Yeah, it's the one which we kind of reference it throughout this episode, and in every episode Ballaam makes. It's kind of very subtle. You look into eyes. Let's go on to seeing as I just spoke about Daleks. Let's go on about the rehash Into the Dalek by Phil Ford and Stephen Moffat again.
I actually like that one.
Yeah.
I thought that they did something new with it. Like with the Dalek stories nowadays, they generally follow the same sort of format, and sometimes the Daleks don't show enough threats, like with Asylum of the Daleks.
Yeah.
I mean, with Asylum of the Daleks, we were all expecting, like when they said, it's going to every Dalek we've got.
Oh, that poster was great.
Yeah, I thought that Into the Daleks it was different because you had Daleks being a threat. You had a new sort of threat with the Dalek antibodies.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a good thing to add because you get a sense of the Daleks' chemistry and biology.
I think I hope that they only use that once, though, those antibodies.
Yeah.
Because if they use them again, then it kind of defeats their purpose.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just good to have a monster for one time, but sometimes you just can't use the monster more than once.
Yes, like the Weeping Angels.
And also with the whole scene of the Doctor becoming a more serious Doctor rather than like what we've had previously, it was something which made that episode.
I like that we do actually see the 12th Doctor here.
Yeah.
And I do like it. I'm still kind of warm to him, but I do like him.
Yeah.
I think I did start to like him with Into the Dalek.
Yeah. But since then it's gone downhill.
We'll get to that later then.
Yeah.
Into the Dalek. Well, I liked it a lot more than Deep Breath, but I wouldn't say I really enjoyed it like you have.
No.
I think it was good for what it was.
Yeah.
But what it was a little bit too much like Dalek.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole you would make a good Dalek, well, you are a good Dalek.
Yeah.
They kind of ruined it for me because it's just like, oh, you know that line from that far superior episode from many years ago where the casual viewers wouldn't remember?
Yeah.
Let's make a reference to it.
It's
by
like
completely saying it again.
It's almost like the reference in Deep Breath or the constant referencing to Girl in the Fireplace in Deep Breath.
Oh, I hated that. It was just like a constant thing, like, oh, I know about it. I've seen this thing before. I've seen this thing before. It's kind of like the whole, Jenny and Vashta are married. Like, they're married. I'm going to tell them every 5 minutes. Because the attention span of the average viewer is 10 milliseconds. Stephen Moffat's writing, people.
That's Into the Dalek.
Clara seemed to kind of return to a bit less of a personality.
Yeah.
Which was better, if I'm honest, because it kind of eased you in a bit more.
Yeah.
At least here, she wasn't really as much of a focus for the story. I mean, yes, she technically kind of helped save the day by putting all the memories back. But aside from that, she was just there. Which I was fine with, because when you're trying to get to warm to a new Doctor, you don't want the whole focus to be on the companion. So if you give her a bit of a kind of back her up for a little bit, then it gives you space.
It's alright to have an episode where it is set more towards the companion than the Doctor.
Yeah, like turn left.
Yeah.
I mean, and that worked for a companion-based one. It kind of worked because there was very little Doctor. Kind of in the same sense that with episodes which have very little of a companion, like Midnight. Midnight's brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, if Donna was in it, then it might have. Whilst Catherine Tate is a great companion, it works just with the 10th Doctor v Strangers. If Donna was there, then it would lose a lot of its specialty.
Midnight's also a good example of where not showing a monster can make it scary.
Yes, we'll get back to that.
There's a lot of getting back to that, isn't there?
Yes, well, we're kind of like Stephen Moffat will reference things for the future.
Yeah. What do you think, like, obviously you've given sort of like a more in-depth look into Dalek. What would you sort of score it, like maybe out of 10, out of 5 or whatever?
I'd give it a 6, because whilst it wasn't a great, particularly good story, especially for Daleks, it did at least succeed in kind of adding a bit more to them, especially from having them actually kill people like they're meant to do.
Yeah.
And of course you got Capaldi. CGI was an improvement. Antibodies did look a bit off. And thankfully they didn't kind of play too much on the story arc, which we'll reference later. So I would give it a 6. What would you give it?
Well, as far as I remember, I gave it like a 3.8 out of 5. So that is a 7.6 out of 5.
Not bad.
Yeah. So
Not bad.
now we've had the brilliant, in my opinion, okayish story into the Dalek. Next week, or the following week, we had Robot of Sherwood.
Set in our hometown of Edinburgh. And oddly enough, it referenced Blackpool, which kind of made it a bit more special because I got relatives who lived there. So I was like, oh, it's like dinosaurs on the spaceship all over again with Crikey Charlie, and I'm a Sagittarius.
But obviously, Robot of Sherwood, I think that was another hit and miss one, really. You had some brilliant points. You had Ben Miller obviously being...
Oh, he was great.
Yeah.
He was Anthony Ainley, after Anthony Ainley. The way he looked, the way he acted, he would be great.
As a master.
As a master, yeah. So it's just a great pity.
That he was just...
He was just... Well, he was technically a robot, but we didn't really see that in the actual episode.
Yeah, because that was cut.
Yeah, he would have been great. If the Sheriff of Nottingham in the episode was menacing enough, but if there was a bit more to him, then it could have been even better. I think it was more Ben Miller which helped the role than the writing.
You obviously had the archery scene with the sonic screwdriver and the arrows. What do you think of that?
Well, I did like how they did recreate some of the classic Robin Hood tales, like the bridge thing. That was kind of how they met Little John. I did like how they recreated all the classic Robin Hood scenes. I do prefer the Disney version of the whole archery kind of. It felt a bit like, oh, how do we get Clara's attention?
Okay.
Like Robin Hood's kind of winning her over somehow, and then the Doc's like, oh, you're not taking my girl. You're not taking her away from modern day England. Yeah. Let's talk about the man himself, Mr. Hood.
Mr. Hood?
Yes.
Oh.
Robin Hood.
And also his Merry Men.
The Merry Men, they weren't noteworthy. He's on, what, about a minute?
Yeah, I didn't like Robin Hood. I think that it was a weak actor and...
Tom Riley.
No, I didn't like it.
I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed his banter at times. It got a bit too much, I think, the whole banter between him and the Doctor.
Yeah.
But it was enjoyable for the most part. I mean, Mark Gatiss is a great writer, especially in recent years.
Yeah.
He's very underrated as well.
So, not the best thing from Mark Gatiss.
Yeah. It's not his best episode, but I would say I enjoyed it. Yeah. It's probably very just my favourite of the series so far. Yeah. And when you consider that it's only just, and the last... I'll give this one a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10?
So...
I know that I've given this one a 2.6 out of 5, which is a 5.2 out of 10.
It's a nice change. I think something's better than you think.
Yeah, which is like usually I'm the person who rates it like.
I'm usually the critical.
Yeah, you're usually the one who rates it at like 4, 3, 2 out of 10.
Stephen Moffat as well. And speaking of Stephen Moffat, let's get on to
Listen.
how should we start this off?
How about what was good about it? Okay, is that it?
I liked how atmospheric it was to begin with.
Yeah.
Like in the, I think it was an orphanage, and within kind of the end of the universe, it looked great. It was nice and dark, and the Doctor's speech towards Rupert.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put Rupert. Was very good.
Yeah.
It really worked, those kind of scenes where you didn't know what the monster was. Everyone's saying that under the bed she was just a kid, but it wasn't a kid. How could it be a kid? Have you seen, there's a screenshot of kind of Clara facing towards the window, and kind of the monster's kind of taking the blanket off. That is not a kid.
No.
There was quite clearly a menace in there, and they did kind of copy Midnight of the whole banging on the doors at the end of the universe.
Yeah.
And Capaldi, I think this is probably his best one so far. I mean, the prologue, that was excellent. I liked the prologue. Yes, he had that. That's him sitting on the TARDIS, kind of just like this. Like, it was more like meditating. Just like, and then the camera goes like, listen. But it's just such a great pity.
That it just turned out that way. They just.
It's like Moffat goes, oh, a script. Oh, did I write this? Try again.
It's almost like he wrote the first half one night, went to sleep, got drunk, and then wrote the second half whilst on crack cocaine. Yeah.
And that was how the barn scene was written.
There's so many episodes where the concept is so good. So, for instance, you got Beast Below, you got Listen, and
and then they just don't use it.
They just don't use it. They sideline it, which is like for me. Like I don't think I mentioned this in my mini review on Monday.
Yeah.
They just sidelined everything, and that's not the right thing to do. If you got an idea, okay, this is if Stephen Moffat, if you're watching this by some rare chance, and can you please give me a lottery ticket? Because
also, can you give me your copy of the Adventures of Tintin script, because I do love that film. That's probably your best thing outside of Doctor Who and Sherlock. So give it to me.
Yeah, not coupling. Coupling was awful.
I'm not singing coupling.
It's awful.
I've seen clips. But apparently listening is a bit like coupling, so quite clearly it's terrible.
Well, no, but Stephen Moffat, if you're watching this, if you've got an idea such as... Thank you for that.
I'm giving him an evil glare.
If you've got an idea such as having a monster under the bed, give it threats and don't sideline it. Focus on that monster. Focus on the threat it produces, how people are reacting to that threat. Not going, well, you have a massive monster and then whoop-de-doo, okay, now Clara and Danny at a restaurant.
Seize all the chances you have with these creatures which you create.
Yeah.
I mean, you can either use it for have a great monster, use it once.
Yeah.
Or use a monster to its best of ability.
Yeah.
Don't keep using the best ones over and over again to the point where they're terrible. Don't forget about them midway through the episode.
Yeah.
And don't. Just don't. Get someone else to give you ideas for your monsters and your scripts.
Yeah.
And your writing.
Unpopular opinion, I didn't like the silence.
I enjoyed them to begin with, but then it was over time of the Doctor.
Well, no, it was the fact that everyone was saying it's going to be the scariest episode to date, and I know that obviously this was 2011, so it would have been.
Doctor Who's not scary. I've never found it scary.
I found I found Age of Steel and Rise of the Cybermen scary. I found Blink scary. I found Satan Pit and Impossible Planet scary.
I just put me on my food.
Hasn't Stephen Moffat been confirmed for Series 9?
I think he has, which is why I'm going to do this.
Well, no, I saw, Lewis Christian.
Yes.
On his Tumblr, he has his icon is Christopher Eccleston, and I was having such a nice day, and with the...
Yeah, I think that was more of a joke, really, but I think he's writing for Series 9 right now, which I pray is his final one.
End of Listen.
End of Listen. That is the point where I shouted no.
Did you actually just shout no?
I didn't. Well, I technically shouted it. I had to speak up a little bit because I put the volume very loud. Like at the very end, when the credits were rolling, I was like, no. And I was like, no, like no. That's not meant to happen. That's wrong. That's a parody. That is not Doctor Who. That is your videos. No. No. That is something which a 5-year-old fan writes before he goes to bed and has his milk and cookies. Because, you know, he's Santa secretly.
Yeah. Maybe Stephen Moffat is a 5-year-old fan.
He always pay a lot. Technically he's 50, but he might have just added a 0 to the end.
Maybe you've just come up with it. Maybe we now realise why Stephen Moffat is so terrible.
No, this is just a series after Series 9. The real age of Stephen Moffat. Yes, the ending, the barn scene. Okay, let's try and break it down for all the wrong things. 1, they're on Gallifrey.
Yeah.
Gallifrey is missing.
It's in a pocket universe. Well, to paraphrase Nerada Doctor, is that what we're meant to do? Find Gallifrey. 5 episodes later, we found Gallifrey, kids!
And we won't tell anyone about it. We won't tell the Doctor about it. It's his own planet. But we don't care. He can sleep for a little longer.
Yeah.
2, he's living in an orphanage. Well, supposedly going by the fact of other 2 people who didn't treat him like they were his parent. He has parents, you know. We've technically seen them. We've seen them in recent years. I think like his mum was in the End of Time Part 2, apparently.
Or
Claire Bloom. Yeah, I'm fine with that theory, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it works. I mean, it's better than having a wife.
Yeah.
But you Moffat. Okay, number 3. We don't need to see the child Doctor. But number 4. Was it number 4? Yeah, number 4. We do not need Clara to influence everything. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was fine with her going through the Doctor's time stream. Yeah. That was kind of a fan moment with the name of Doctor seeing all his archives clips. That was great. I liked that bit. I mean, yes, the CGI at times was a bit and recolorization. Yeah. But aside from that, it was a great moment. Yeah. Number 5. I think we're on 5. I keep forgetting. Yeah. It didn't need to be in the barn from Day of the Doctor. The barn scene pretty much ruined not only the episode, but a good proportion of what was making the Doctor him. Yeah. It panded too much for kids who looked up to him and say, oh yeah, he's scared too, he's scared of the dark, apparently. Except the fact that he's worked in hundreds of episodes where it is darkness. Yeah. And he's not gone, I need a torch, I need something, I need people with me. He's just like, it's dark.
Tiny angel flashing stone.
No, in Science of the Library, so that all species have an irrational fear of the dark. Yeah. But it's not fear, it's not the dark, it's Vashta Nerada. Yeah. I guess who wrote that episode, boys and girls? But you can't get past the rest of the episode. Yeah. You can't get past... The barn scene is where it plummets to a stop. The date scenes, unnecessary. They weren't funny. They just added fire to the fire of fireplaces. Yeah. The fire in the fireplace. That's going to be a future episode. That's written by Stephen Moffat. About it.
So, out of...
My ears are closed.
Out of 10. Go on.
Oh, I might give it a 3. Just because of Capaldi and the initial darkness of it all. And some comedy does work, like that, when he steals the coffee. Yeah. That was funny. That's the only time I laughed in the episode. And it really worked. Yeah. But aside from that, there's nothing more I can really say.
Maybe it's going to take the rinse in the first episode. You know how at the end of the first episode, oh, do you want some coffee?
I remember when you put a status up on Facebook and you said, oh no, you put one on Twitter. You gave it an 8 out of 10. Which I was really surprised by. Yeah. Because I know that everyone's been giving on, but it's been a very mixed episode, but a majority is saying, oh, it's brilliant, it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah. So I was a bit surprised by your 8 out of 10, but then I saw your Facebook written review and it went down. Like,
well, I originally put that as a 8 out of 10, but then I thought, nah, it was just rubbish, and so I knocked that down to a 6 out of 10. I also put a Twitter status saying, I'm going to knock it down to a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm kind of... I'm surprised really, because if that's what you think, oh, it's rubbish, 6 out of 10. And then if I was, oh, it's rubbish, 3 out of 10.
Well, you know, like, it's Doctor Who, I can't rate it under a 5 out of 10.
Oh, that reminds me of someone Gallifrey bases, but I don't rate anything below a 7.
I know. I saw that. I thought it was don't rate anything with below a 5. I was parodying it. So shall we end it off?
Yeah, we might as well.
So anyway,
it takes you 10 months of waiting.
10 months of waiting, and you get a 1 hour and 10 episode, or maybe it's going to be 4 minutes because I'm going to cut it down that much.
It's just real.
It'll just literally be your just best moments.
Yeah.
Just like Bruce.
My base faces. Yep, and if I was going to say now, I've forgotten altogether.
Should we end it off?
Yeah, let's end it off here.
So, anyway guys, thank you so much for watching.
Thank you for inviting me and actually putting this programme together.
I will spend the next 2 nights tirelessly working on it.
Meanwhile, I got the day off. You used to go to college.
Well, I've got 6-3 tomorrow, but that's the first thing.
I get a whole day.
Look at you! So, yeah, thank you for coming along and talking about Doctor Who with me.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for giving me the idea. Well, I had the idea.
Yeah.
Giving it to me.
And obviously you've got to thank me for the idea of the DVD cover.
Yes, I've got to thank you for the DVD cover. I've also got to thank you for shamelessly plugging me, as you'll see right in front of me.
I've been Ballaam.
I've been Charlie.
Or Willis, if
Willis.
you want.
I've been Willis. I am the Dark Willis.
And this is the end credits.
I'm Batman.
Signing out.
This is the car.
No, this isn't the car.
Warm and fuzzy.